Good evening. Hi. Thank you for tuning in and watching. My name is Misty Metcalf, and I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I am originally from Guyman, Oklahoma. And a few weeks ago, a good old friend messaged me, and her wonderful wife wanted to hear my story. And I agreed to share with Lucy my story and all of you. Here's a quick rundown of medical craziness. I suffered for many, many years with endometriosis. I endured about 8 surgeries in about a 12-year time frame. I did actually get to have one child, and then I did have a hysterectomy finally. Then I've also been diagnosed with a few rare autoimmune diseases, neuromalacia optica, a connective tissue disease. So bear with me, I'm a little nervous. It's the first time to really fully tell my story. Anyhow, I am married. I've been married for 12 years to a wonderful, supportive husband. His name is Robert. And he's endured a lot with this journey. I was probably on pain medication for a good 15 years. You know, I started on pain medicine with the endometriosis, and, you know, it was off and on, off and on. And, you know, each surgery, then lots of hormone treatments. But finally, after the hysterectomy, you know, we thought that, oh, good, this uncontrollable pain that just hits is going to go away. And I had always had real problems with my legs. And when I was about 2, I all of a sudden was unable to walk for about 16 months. Finally, the last doctor that my parents took me to said that he felt that it was some type of autoimmune disease. It possibly would come back later in life. Not real sure, just have to kind of wait and see. So, you know, you go through the endometriosis and you think this leg pain is just radiating pain from the wonderful craziness that's going on with the female stuff. And so we gave it a little while. We thought that, you know, my body would adjust after the hysterectomy, and then taking hormones about a year later, after the hysterectomy. Mind you, my son at this time was only 1. And I decided with my primary doctor that maybe we'd go off the hormones and see if that would, you know, alleviate some of the leg pain, because hormones can cause some leg pains and different things. And then it didn't go away, and it just seemed to keep getting more and more. And I apologize, I tend to ramble. At this time, I had been doing hair for several years. So I was up on my feet all the time, you know, working, but it was starting to get to the point where I was not able to stay on my feet throughout the whole day. You know, after a while, it was just excruciating. I couldn't feel my feet, and just these radiating pains of like, that felt like electricity just run through my legs. And it sucked. And I slowly started doing less and less clients because I just couldn't handle the workload. I couldn't do it. And the leg pain turned into leg weakness. My primary at the time decided to check thyroid. My thyroid was messed up. Started on thyroid medicine thinking, oh, you know, thyroid problems can cause, you know, leg pain or muscle pain, different types of problems. Months went by. At this time, back on pain medicine, yay, and started having the pins and needle pain, which was just, you wanted to scratch your skin off. Literally, it was horrible. So we added more medicine, different medicine for nerve pain and different pain medicine because the other wasn't helping. And finally we decided, oh, maybe we need to check this out and he started thinking, with the weakness that continued to grow and grow, oh, maybe we need to start maybe checking other things. And in the meantime, as he was deciding, maybe we should check other things, it got to where if I was down on the floor playing with my son, I couldn't get up on my own. I had to either crawl to the couch and try to pull myself up with my upper body, because the strength in my legs was just not there. And it just kept getting worse. And then I started having issues that my legs would just give out when I was walking. And so finally we decided, let's do a spinal tap. He thought maybe I was having the first early signs of MS. And the spinal tap was inconclusive. So we were set to go to a neurologist. And, back then we lived in Guyman, Oklahoma, and you had to go to Amarillo, Texas. And sometimes it was a little bit of a wait. So I think it was about a 3-month wait. And during that 3 months, my health just started declining more and more. I started losing lots and lots and lots of weight. And by then I couldn't even walk upstairs at a certain point. Just to walk up 3 stairs was so excruciating in pain, minus the fact I literally had to pull myself up the stairs. I ended up in the hospital because the pain became just unbearable at a certain point, but it just wasn't controlled good. There was a lot of nerve pain that had started by then, and it was, any of you that have nerve pain, that wonderful feeling that you're being stung by thousands of bees all over. So trying to escape that and medicine not working was very upsetting. So for several years, I went to a neurologist trying to figure out what was going on. They finally sent me to a rheumatologist, who then decided to start looking into other things, because I had the symptoms of MS, but something wasn't quite right. Something just was off. And I wasn't testing. I wasn't having any of the bands in my spinal taps. And it was like when I hit the rheumatologist, he was like, this is it. We're just going to start from square one and just start testing everything. And we started just testing things and marking them off. Okay, it's not this, which he had in his mind. He had a few months into it, he kind of thought that he had figured it out. And he felt that I had some type of a autoimmune disease that was affecting my muscles and affecting my nerves, or something was going on. And we finally, I think, it was probably 2 years into treatment with the rheumatologist, the official diagnosis came in. And it was with the neuromalacia optica, which is a rare autoimmune disease. They used to think it was a rare form of MS, and now it's its own wonderful thing, as well as I had connective tissue disease. We started treatments, and mind you, I'd been doing treatments throughout, and we would do steroid treatments. I would get steroid IVs, which would help alleviate some of the pain sometimes. But this whole time, all these years, mostly what was being given and what I was taking, because I thought that was how I was going to treat my pain, was pain medication. There were several years before I decided to go off pain medication that I was not who I am. I wasn't a good wife. I wasn't a good mother, a good daughter or sister, or even a friend. My life consumed with controlling that pain. I couldn't see past the pain. I just couldn't. Nothing helped. And the stronger you are prescribed, your body just gets used to it. And I started researching it and realizing that something isn't right. And then I got put in pain management. Yay! Which when I entered pain management, I asked them, mind you, for years, for the 12 plus years before, it was just my primaries giving me pain medication every month. Whatever, oh, it's not strong enough, let's increase it, which, you know. And I got into pain management, and my first question to them, because I was like, there's got to be a way to control this pain so I can go back to being the wife and mother and everything that I was before. Because by the time I got into pain management, I literally was a shell of a person. My days consisted of getting up with just enough energy to get the husband off to work, the kid ready for school and off to school, and then I had to come back home and lay down for several hours. I just didn't have the energy to function. I didn't. I was on lots of medications. They didn't make me tired, but they didn't help. My body just was riddled. I was not in a good place. I wasn't healthy. I wasn't getting healthy. And I just knew there had to be a better way. And my first question at pain management was about support group and what other things do they implement in with just the pain medication for pain management. And they're like, oh, just research it. And then, I was given a sheet of paper that just was like different things, like watch your diet, yoga, but no real different tools. That no one was there really to teach me any kind of tools that helped, which I was like, okay, fine. I'm at the mercy of these doctors to try to help this pain, because at this point, pain is the main thing that I experience. And I just needed it controlled. That's all I needed. In my head, I just felt like if they could get this pain under control, that then I could go back to work. I could go back to being this fun, exciting, loving person. That's all I wanted. And that's what I thought that I would get from pain management. I thought that they would have, these different medications that were going to work great. And I did pain management. We went through morphine, and each month increased the dose. When I went into pain management, they had me on pain medication as well as muscle relaxers, a sleeping pill, and then antidepressant. And like I said, each month, because the pain medicine would slowly stop working, it wasn't effective, we'd increase it until finally they got to the point where they decided that they would put me on fentanyl. And so I was on fentanyl. And the same thing with the fentanyl. They said that I was a high metabolizer. So instead of changing my patch of fentanyl every 72 hours, they had me changing it every 48 hours. And I started noticing, really probably the first month or so of the fentanyl, that things just, like pain, when I would have what I call rebound pain, was even more intense. The intensity of it was just ridiculous. There was times I couldn't even think. Like, it was mind blowing. The things that I would lay in bed at night sometimes, and usually it was toward when it was getting close to having to change, the patch, and just be in agony. So after that first couple of months, it seemed like we were upping the dose about every 2-3 weeks. And it finally got to the point where I was maxed out on the fentanyl. And I had gotten to the point, I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't. I literally could not handle my own child giving me a hug, because just somebody touching my body sent so much agony through it. And how do you tell a child that wants to hug his mother and wants his mother to hug him back that I just need you to sit next to me and not let me hug you? How do you tell them that? And I started realizing that I had allowed my disease, I had allowed chronic pain to control my life. I had realized that I can control this. I can figure out a way. I'm a strong ass woman. I was strong before, and I can be strong again. And, you know, for a few years, I had some really good friends that had told me, you know, Misty, I really wish you'd try cannabis. I really think that maybe it would help you. No, you know, I'm on these meds, whatever. They're going to work. I know they are. And that just, those conversations just kept hitting my head. And I just started doing research, not just on cannabis, but on other ways to try to get through chronic pain. And I started finding ways. I realized that there was already ways I was doing to help my own self get through certain times of the pain. And I didn't even realize it. You know, binge watching shows, a big help. Your mind goes elsewhere because you get so immersed in whatever story is right there. But I really, really started researching the cannabis, and it just seemed like it helped people. It truly helped people. So I had almost pretty much gotten to that mindset that I felt like I was ready just to try to just go an all natural route and figure out and see where my pain really was without any kind of narcotic pain medication. And the day that I went into the doctor, the pain management, you know, I was not doing good. I was in horrible pain. The medicine, the fentanyl, mind you, was maxed. And I felt like a crazy woman. And they were like, well, I don't think we can help you unless you want to get a pain pump and, you know, surgically put in. And it just really was not something that I wanted to do. And I just looked at them and said, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. And they told me, they're like, you will never get off fentanyl. If you're not going to come here, you need to find someplace else that will fill your fentanyl. And I was like, no, I'm done. And I just knew I had to be done. And I did get off fentanyl, and I did it on my own. I'm not going to tell anybody that it was easy, because it was the worst thing ever. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. I can't even explain the intensity that the pain started coming back as I started weaning off the fentanyl, and just the jitters and just shaking. It was horrible. And once I finally got past that, it took me a couple of months to fully feel like a person again. I'm going to be a little maybe too graphic. I stopped pissing my pants because I didn't have these crazy spasms going through my body and just doing whatever it wanted to my body anymore. It just so happened I had got an appointment at the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and I had been off the fentanyl and actually any pain medication, no tramadol or anything, no Neurontin. I was on nothing besides my thyroid medicine. And I had gotten into them. We had done a bunch of stuff, and we're sitting there, and I was telling a resident in the rheumatology department that, you know, she was like, that is really, wow, I cannot believe you got off fentanyl. And I was like, well, it's not easy. Yeah, I was like, And my life right now really sucks. Now, mind you, the pain, I mean, it was exhausting. I mean, absolutely exhausting. Ibuprofen didn't touch anything, but it was okay because I knew I had the strength. My husband supported me because, you know, living with somebody with a chronic illness is hard. You don't know what to do for them. It's hard. Give me just a moment. Sorry. But it's hard on the people that live with you to see what you're going through and to see the shell of a person there. Now, once I started getting off the medications, I could think clearly again. I pushed through that chronic pain, and yes, it sucked. And no, I didn't have great energy. I wasn't running any marathons. I wasn't doing a whole lot. But, you know, I found a way. I knew every day I set a goal as to what I was going to be able to do that day. It might have only been cleaning the bathroom, but by golly, I cleaned the bathroom that day. And most people think, oh, wow. But when you have chronic pain and you're doing nothing for it, it is exhausting. There's a level of exhaustion I just don't know that people really understand unless you live it. But from every aspect, just even holding a simple conversation wears you out. But I got through it. But I wanted to know what my body, what my pain, where it really was without anything. No medication helping it or easing it or covering it up. And once I did that, and I was at the Mayo, and the resident, sorry, I'm a rambler, started talking, and I was telling them, I was like, I'm really thinking of wanting to try medical marijuana. And that would be fantastic. She's like, that's what I was going to tell you. If you live in a state that has it. And I was like, that's the unfortunate. I do not, because I did not at the time, which one of their recommendations for that would help some of my symptoms and my health for what I have going on with my body was a warmer climate would help, because cold weather it's horrible on my body. It doesn't matter. It's bad. And so, but they were really supportive and thought, if you are in a state where you have that would be great, which, like I said, we were not. Once I got back from that 2-week stay at the Mayo, Robert and I were really thinking as to what we wanted to do. We needed a change. We needed to do something that was going to benefit us and benefit my health if we could. And Arizona seemed like a good spot. And, we decided to move out to Arizona. And one of the reasons we did choose to move to Arizona, besides that we had some family out here and the weather, but they were a medical marijuana state. And that was something that really was something that I wanted to do. Now, before we actually moved out here, we went to Colorado. I went to Colorado. I needed to know if it was going to help. And you know what? It was the best choice that I ever made. I really wish years before that I would have had the ability to be able to find out that medical marijuana was going to be my medicine, the medicine that would truly help me, because I feel that it actually truly helps. I don't feel that it just covers up a pain. For me, what it does is it actually eases to a point like my legs will swell. I can feel inflammation, and it takes that inflammation away. I know that there are and there have been times I was in the hospital, and I had some really bad acute pain. And, yes, I know for acute pain, I possibly will need to take pain medication. But at this point in time in my life, to actually take pain medication every day will not be something that I will do. What form of medical marijuana is best for me? I will tell you. So I use edibles throughout the day, which work great. I do microdosing. I actually started making my own butter and making my own candies, which that way I have tons of little candies that I can then microdose, because microdosing for me for chronic pain seems to be what works best. But the candies for me during the day are what work best for my microdosing. Now, in the evenings, whenever I'm ready to go to bed, I do smoke flower. I like the fact that the flower, then it does literally, you feel that head to toe how it relaxes your body, which I need because I have really, really bad, I think they're called tonic muscle spasms. Like, I will wake up in the middle of the night screaming, and what most people would call like a Charlie horse, but they last for a few minutes. But as long as I have smoked some flower before bed, I have less of those attacks throughout. Say, in a month's time, I only have maybe one or two. Whereas before, you could guarantee that I would have them, if not every night, probably 4 times a week. So the flower for evening, for me anyway, is how I like my evening to end, because it just helps all of the muscles and everything. The pain just seems to really relax for me. I'm not a heavy smoker. I'm not. That's the great thing about marijuana. You find what works for you. And for me, it's really, there's a minimal that I need. Now, and that's for general everyday use. I'm going to be honest with you. It's very minimal. I might eat maybe 1 or 2 candies throughout the day on a good chronic day. That's what I'm looking at. Chronic. Anyway, but on bad days, whenever I have bad days, yes, I will eat a few more candies. I like to stay in a routine. For me, it seems to work best if you have for me, it works best if I have a routine, or whatever you might say, because then that way my body seems to stay at an even level. Like, say a level 5, my pain level stays at a level 5, which I can tolerate. That's something that I myself can handle, because I don't just utilize medical marijuana to control my chronic pain. There's so many other things that I utilize to help control my chronic pain, so that then I don't have to use anything but a minimal amount, because that is what I found that works for me. I use a lot of distraction, a lot of distraction, sometimes maybe a little too much, because I get a little distracted at work when I use distraction, when I'm hurting real bad. But my first thing to do is try to use some form of distraction before I have a candy, because if I can use that distraction and then only need that candy for when it's at its highest level, or getting to its highest level, I should say, that's what I like. I don't know, now I feel like I'm rambling, but I know that it was the best decision for me. I have had a few doctors that don't agree with it, and that's fine. That's their choice, but I'm no longer caring what their thoughts are on it, because I live it. They don't live in my body. On this aspect, they just don't get a say. I decided a couple of years ago that I'm in control, which, my body really is in control, but I like to think that I'm in control. And when it comes to my chronic pain, I live it. Just like any of you that have chronic pain, you live it. You know what you feel like. You live it every single day. And we need to take control in the aspect of letting people know what it's like to live with chronic pain. It's not easy. Yes. You know how many times I've heard, well, you don't look sick. Yeah, no, I don't. Thank goodness. Woohoo. But my body is sick and I push through it, and that's fine. You can sit there and think that I don't look sick, but people that live with chronic pain don't need to be ashamed anymore. You don't need to be ashamed to say, I'm in pain 80% of my day. You shouldn't be ashamed or have to worry about saying, I choose to use medical marijuana as my medication because it's actually helped the best. I just hope that other states follow and are able to legalize medical marijuana, and actually nationwide. I think that it really should be. It's time to end this whole craziness as to whether yes or no it's good or bad, because it has medical properties and it helps. It just does. It helps. I wish that the United States was kind of like Israel. They do actually research it. It would be fantastic. I would so be one of those patients that would be right there ready for them to talk to or whatever they want. But the only way that's going to happen is if those of us that are patients, medical marijuana patients, start speaking out, start talking and getting it out there. We shouldn't have to fight or move to be able to get the medical things that we want or need to live a better life for ourselves. I don't know. Those of you that actually know me now, in the last couple of years since moving to Arizona, they only know the Misty now, the happy, the fun, the outgoing, the very motivated, ready to get stuff done. I love doing projects. They're one of my distractions. Go, go, go. But up until right before we moved here, that wasn't me. And that wasn't me for many years. And I'm just glad that now I am able to go and do. Yeah, I might have to take breaks or whatever, but I'm able to do it. And I really feel that a lot of it has to do with the fact that I was able to add medical marijuana into the regimen to help me control my chronic pain. I'm not real sure what else to say. I hope that you guys enjoyed my story. It was a little short. Let me see. Lucy, help me. I don't know what else to say. If your state doesn't have medical marijuana, I think that it would be great if you would try to fight and help get it going for your state. Feel free to ever message me if you need to. I've recently started a chronic pain support group. It's called Warriors of Chronic Pain Support Group. Join us. It's just starting. going to start talking about things that we don't talk about with our family members. There are things that those of us that have chronic pain, there are a lot of things that we keep to ourselves because they're just not things that we want to talk about. And so feel free to join us. Let's end the stigma. Let's, chronic pain is an invisible disease. And it's time to show people that it's real and it sucks. Thank you. Bye.